And we should be live. Welcome everyone. I'm just gonna give it a minute until I can see that you are indeed in the chat. Let me know if you can hear me properly. We are live from London. It is nearly 7:30 p.m. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me. If any of you were completely new to me, if you've randomly clicked on this live session, it's probably not the most interesting of my live streams. It's basically a little Ask Me Anything, so it's a little catch up with our community, and I'll be answering any questions. Hi Laurie, welcome. Sound is good, perfect. Thank you very much for letting me know. Perfect, thank you Tish as well. Before anything else, let's test the microphone. You guys know the drill. I've got the microphone over here. I'm gonna tap it 3 times to check if you can hear that. Can you confirm that you've heard the tapping? Because sometimes the microphones can get disconnected, because I've got 3 little connections there, 2 adapters. So if the microphone did get disconnected, you'd hear a bit more background noises and wind and all that. And welcome Carol Sue. And welcome everyone that just joined, even if you're not active in the chat. I see the numbers going up. You heard it faintly. Oh, interesting. Hold on. Let me try again. Just gonna. Right. Let's try again. Let me know if that was more than faintly this time. And let me show you the view. Did you hear the tapping better this time? We've got a few minutes before to start, by the way. We're just waiting for everyone to connect. We'll be starting at 7:30 exactly. It seems even fainter. Huh. You can hear the wind. Okay, right. Let me unplug everything. There must be some kind of dust somewhere. Bear with me 1 second. I'm just gonna unplug everything. Let's try again. It's telling me an external mic is connected, so we should be all good, but let's double check. Let's confirm that you've heard that. We don't want any wind noises in the background. Hopefully that'll be better this time. It could have just been a bit of dust in any of the connection. That's when I've been blowing the dust in. Hi Sarah, and welcome anyone that I've missed. Was the tapping any better? Oh, you've heard this one. Perfect. Cool. Thank you. So you see, it's actually worth doing every time, because you never know when there might be a little bit of dust in any of those connections. Let me see what time it is. We've got 5 minutes before to start. We're just waiting for everyone to connect. And welcome Samantha. Well, Laurie, it's not too late. Make sure you wait 5 minutes before to pop a question in the chat, though, because otherwise I'll have time to forget. And welcome Stefan, welcome everyone that just joined. So yeah, if you wanted to add some more questions through the live into the chat, you can also do that. It's just that it's easier for me to miss them, so it's nice to have them a bit ahead. But if you've not had time, no worries at all. You can just pop them into the chat in about 4 minutes. Right, let me show you the view again, because the light is changing quickly. It's quite nice. Do you guys know where we are? Do any of you recognize this place? We have been here before. I'll give you a clue. There's a big Roman road on this side there. And we are south of the river. Where could we be? And welcome, Emma. There's thousands of Shakespeares, you mean? That's a cool name to have. $1,500. Oh, that's a lot of Shakespeare's. Oh no, you mean prices? Look, lol. You at work, Matthew? Well, nice of you to check in. Don't get in trouble. We don't want to get you in trouble. You can say hello to my ducky friends and then get back to work. We don't want the boss to have any complaints. Well, it's better if the ads come now before we start, you know? At least you're not missing much. So do any of you know where we are? This little spire there, it looks like a church. It's actually a mosque now. It used to be St. Mark's Church, but now it's, I think it's called Peckham New Mosque. Oh, I've given you a big clue there. Where are we then? There's a group named Shakespeare's Sisters. Oh, so you can connect with all the Shakespeares in the world. Yes, we are in London indeed. Yes. Whereabouts though? Yeah, not really Peckham. We are at the border between South Bermondsey, Peckham and Camberwell, really. We are in Burgess Park. We came here on the Monopoly tours when we did the Old Kent Road. Some of you might remember. See that big building straight ahead in the middle of the frame here? That's the Aylesbury estate. You know, it's going to be knocked down in a few years. It's already half, mainly emptied, but there's a few people squatting, refusing to go. Some of you might remember I went in there when we did the Monopoly tour. It was a bit scary because it's mainly empty. Right, let's see what time it is. It is officially time to start. So welcome everyone. Welcome to this little Ask Me Anything session. So I'm sure most of you know, but some of you might not. So I've asked I've asked you for questions on Facebook because I think it's the easier platform for many people. But if any of you missed any of those posts, if you wanted to ask any questions in the chat, feel free to do so. That's absolutely fine as well. How do I spell the name of the park? Burgess. So B-U-R-G-E-S-S. Burgess. And welcome, my pups. Nice to see you here. And welcome, Nick. Ça va? Cool. Without further ado, let's see what questions we've got today. You know what? Let me flip the camera around when I pop the question this way. Oh, we'll do it with the next one. So Trish is asking, have you had any really scary moment on a tour? And which one? Good question. By scary, I don't know whether you mean, let me remove the question, otherwise I can't see the chat. I don't know whether you mean scary, like in terms of ghost or anything like that. In terms of ghost, no, I haven't actually. Hi Cindy, welcome. And well, once, some of you might remember when I was in Nantes, in Brittany, in France, when I did a tour about Xavier Dupont de Ligonnès, the guy that basically killed all his family and disappeared. He's still running away. Well, I don't know. He might be dead, but he's still unfound, let's say. As I was streaming in front of his home at like 11 or after 11 p.m. At night, French time, someone came in a car behind me and shouted. That was very scary because that house is creepy, you know. And I think it's even creepier than any other crimes I cover in London because it's not that old, and it's very, you know, it was a crime from 2011, so it's still very fresh. So that was a scary one. And in terms of scary, other type of scary, you know, scary, stressful, or yes, I've had many times when, well, you know, when you have a coach and you take a group to the airport, if you're scared of missing the flight with a full group of 50 people, that's very scary as well. Because anything that happens, that'll be the fault of the tour guide. And even when it's not the airport, I've had a scary moment not that long ago, a couple of months ago actually. I often do a tour when we start at the Tower of London, we jump on a Uber boat and we go and see the end of the changing of the guards. Those Uber boats, it's like a public bus. It's not a boat that's privately hired for us. And people were a bit late coming out of the tower, so we only had a few minutes to get to the boat. And we got to the pier, and I kept an eye at the end of the group, of course, as I always do. And there was a lady with minor mobility issues. So, of course, I kept an eye on her to make sure she wasn't left behind. The lady was there, and the other guy that was last as well was there as well. So I was like, cool, let's get on the boat. Got on the boat, got people sat up. The lady with mobility issues was there, so all good. I thought we had everyone. And I looked over the window. I saw 3 people that were in my group. They were just there on the pier. The boat was already going. I don't know why, they were just chatting away. They didn't get on the boat. Luckily enough, people from the Uber boat agreed to reattach the boat to the pier. I mean, that was really, really nice of them to do that. Because, you know, usually they really wouldn't. But yeah, that was a bit scary, you know. I had that moment of, well, you know, when you can see them still on the pier. It wouldn't have been a big deal, you know, dropping people in central London is not the end of the world. It's not like if it was in Stonehenge or in, you know, anywhere away from public transport. But that would have been an avalanche of bad reviews. So I'm really glad we were able to get them on board. Anyway, let's see the next question. Right. So this. Oh, okay. I need to move the. Silly me. I should have put the questions on the other side because it's a wide background, so I'm not able to see the chat at the same time. It's fine. Anyway, so this is from Pisas. You might have noticed I've covered the last names because I don't know if you guys want your Facebook names on YouTube, publicly exposed. So I've covered them just in case. So Pisas is asking, which person from the past who is no longer alive would you like to hang out with for a few hours to chat with them, male and female? So that's the first one. Let's read the second one as well so we can remove it from the screen. If you did get stuck overnight in a cemetery or a graveyard, who would you not want to see cross your path? Male, female, or both? You do not say Jack the Ripper. Okay, let's remove the question. So, you worried about me at night? No, don't worry. London is fairly safe. What was the first one? Oh, yeah. So, if I could chat to anyone from the past. Well, Pisas, I'm assuming you meant famous people. Not sure, actually. You didn't say. To be honest, if I could speak to anyone from the past, I would actually pick a friend of mine that died in very, very mysterious circumstances about 10 years ago. I never really found out what really happened to him, and it's still one of the big questions that really haunts me still today. Because for many years I was convinced it was manslaughter. And then I met his sister 2 years ago, and that opened a lot of other possibilities. So if I could chat to anyone from the dead, that'll be him. But if we're talking about famous people, male, maybe Lord Lucan, to know what really, really happened that night in Belgravia. And to know, well, if we consider he's a person from the past, because he could still be alive. He'd probably be in his 80s, but he could still be alive. Or maybe even Xavier Dupont de Ligonnès, that murderer we just mentioned. If indeed he is dead, I don't think he's dead, but yeah, so that probably would be some of those mysteries. And oh, don't worry, Emma, that was 10 years ago now, 2015, I think it was. Anyway, and female, I think I would have to say Maddie McCain, the little girl that allegedly disappeared in Portugal. Personally, I don't believe she disappeared. I think it was an accident and a cover-up. But yeah, if I could speak to her, I could. You know what? Maybe not even Maddie McCain, because I think we all have a fairly precise idea to what really happened to little Maggie. No, maybe Florence Bravo, the one from the Bravo, the Balam mystery. We talked about it in West Norwood Cemetery the other day. Because in the Bravo case, I really have no clue whatsoever. So that'll be interesting to speak to Florence to see what really happened that night in the 1870s in the Priory in Balam. If you have no idea who I'm talking about, you want to go back into my live sessions and look up for that tour of West Norwood Cemetery. You worry about me biking in London? Yeah, well, it can be a bit dangerous, but to an extent, any form of transport can be dangerous. Right, what was the other one? Oh, if I was at night stuck into a cemetery, who would I not want to run into? I don't know. Margaret Thatcher, maybe? I don't particularly want the ghost of Margaret in a cemetery. Although I don't think she's buried anywhere. Anyway, I think she was cremated anyway, so I wouldn't run into Margaret. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't. There's no one that particularly would scare me, because what could they do to me? They're dead. Anyway, let's see the next question. So let me flip the camera around. It's easier to do it this way. Oh, that's a few on the same screenshot. How would you interrogate Jack the Ripper if he was ever arrested? Interesting, Linda. You know what? Let's come back to this. Let's remove it for now, and because it's hiding the chat otherwise. How would I interrogate Jack the Ripper? Well, it depends because Jack the Ripper is not a person technically, so it depends which suspect. How would I interrogate them? Well, first, I probably would need some kind of an interpreter, because those Victorians, they spoke a funny English, didn't they? So, especially Victorians from the East End, I'd probably need someone else to translate into modern English. Then what would I do? Well, I'd probably try to lie. I'd probably try to tell them that we've got new technologies nowadays, and I've got his DNA or fingerprints. He wouldn't even know what that is, So I'll probably tell him we've got that when we don't, and try to see what he's got to say. Although I'm not actually sure you are allowed to fully bluff like this in an interview room. I don't know. Can the police officer completely lie about evidence? Maybe. I don't know. Just picture a big pile of Margaret's ashes. Well, I don't really have... I mean, it's just out of all the people in history, I don't want to run into it. And just Margaret is... I wasn't particularly impressed with her because... Is it Section 28 she did? The one against the... they forbid any printed materials about homosexuality to be used for any teaching or anything like that. I think it's Section 28. So that's why I'm not a massive fan of Maggie. Anyway, let's go back to Tish's one. Oops. Oh, I did... that's not very smart what I did. I should have put the pictures on the other side. Where would you like to spend 2 weeks in the world? And what is the country, city, or area you'd never visit? Right. Where would I like to spend 2 weeks? Well, 2 weeks, it's actually a very long time. Usually when I travel, I see quite a few locations in 2 weeks. So I guess if I had to stay for 2 weeks, maybe I'll go to New Caledonia, because my part of my family is there, so I could go and see my nephews and all that. And at least I probably wouldn't have to pay for a hotel, because otherwise 2 weeks can be expensive in some parts of the globe. And what area do I think I'll never visit? Probably Mars. I don't think there'll be an affordable place to visit in my lifetime. So yeah, I don't think I'll go to Mars. She committed many atrocities. Yeah. Anyway, let's see. Oh, Stefan asked, what was your most difficult experience when leading a tour? I think we're talking about in-person tours. All expenses paid. Well, then I'll go to a very expensive country. Well, actually, New Caledonia is not cheap. So yeah, I'll still go to New Caledonia. Right, so worst experiences on a tour. I've had a few actually, but I think most of them, well, actually both of them, would have been on private tours, because when you have a group, it doesn't really matter if you have a proper weirdo or someone that's really rude, because at least you've got witnesses. So whatever happens, you don't feel that alone. But on private tours, I've had 2 private tours that really were so long. I've had one 8 hours. Well, it was 4 hours one afternoon, 4 hours the next morning, with a single gentleman from, probably shouldn't say too much in case he's when they ended up on this video, from somewhere in the Maghreb, maybe Algeria or something, in his late 70s, a gentleman that was very aggressive. In his defense, I suspect he might have been somewhere on the autism spectrum, because some of his social interactions with people on the street were, to me, they looked a bit too rude to be voluntary. But anyway, he was very, very strange, and he only wanted to talk about sex. The first afternoon, I actually tried to tell him about history. And you're alone with that person for like 4 hours. It's a long time to spend with somebody. And you can't really tell them to bugger off, because you want a nice review, or at least you don't want a bad review. And the first afternoon, and on top of that, he'd kind of spot people on the street taking a picture or a selfie somewhere. And then he'd want to do the same. And instead of waiting until they were done, he would kind of push them away. And I was a bit ashamed, because I thought people would think he was my dad. And so that afternoon was so horrible, so long. The next morning, I actually played this game, and we just talked about sex for 4 hours. Not my sex life, but I let him tell me everything about his. That was a bit strange. But yeah, a man with a lot of money. So little Martin, good to know. But you're not from the Maghreb, are you? And have I been to Iran? No, I haven't. No. And apologies, I've got a bit of a cold, so if I sound a bit nosy, it's because of that. And yeah, I had a second one that was a private tour as well, with a couple that was only 2 hours or 2.5, so that wasn't too bad. But they were, they kept being slightly racist. Nothing that was like outrageous that I would have had to stop, And same, it's very difficult to say anything, because whatever you say, they could give you a terrible review. So I'm like, should I just let them be racist and just put up with it for 2 hours? Nothing was really, really bad, because then I would have said something. But it was stuff like, I think they had an Airbnb in Brixton, so it's like here, it's a very black area, and they went like, Natalie, all those black kids going to school in their uniforms. What does the Queen think of them? What? What am I meant to say, So I would flip the question around and said that everyone loved the Queen or whatever, but just weird. I think it started because, actually I know how it started. I think I've misled them into thinking I was a racist as well. I think we went we were at the Tower of London. We were talking about the animals. They used to have lions and monkeys and polar bears and all that, and elephants. And I think what happened is that she asked me why, because I said those animals were gifts from different monarchs from across the globe. And she was asking about the elephants, and she was like, why elephants? Those people were not our friends. And I didn't quite get it. So I had replied that those elephants actually came from the Crusades. They were actually stolen by the French king, and they were gifted to the King of England. And I think I probably didn't phrase it properly. So she probably thought that, those people were not our friends, but the French king was. And then she probably thought, I don't know, I think they probably made up their mind that I would have been a racist as well, and it was fine too. So yeah, I had 2.5 hours of some kind of passive racism. So that was weird and that was long. So it's always on the private tours that you get into some kind of uncomfortable situations. I mean, most of them are fine, most of them are lovely and people are amazing and you can have a blast. But sometimes you get very awkward people and then there's no witnesses to whatever they've got to say. Do I feel like Iran would be a safe place to visit? It's not on my list, and they probably. I mean, I didn't really look into it, to be honest, Lynn. But I do prefer countries where women and men are on the same scale. So I usually prefer. Well, I said that, but you've seen me going to some of the Middle East countries. So, but yeah, it's not on my list of places I really want to go. Oh, my pups, about my foxy friend. Well, they're actually living on this other side of this park. I've not seen them for a couple of weeks, actually. I've seen the one, but I don't know if it was the same one that got bigger. It probably was, because they're very territorial and he was on the very same little path. So I think he's got a bit bigger and he's ignoring me now. Let me see what I've missed. What's the funniest thing anyone has said on the tour? I don't know if you mean a virtual tour or in-person tours. Yes, Chaz, it's my full-time job. It's basically every day at this time of the year. I think the funniest one I had on an in-person tour, well, at least it made me laugh. We were by Buckingham Palace and we were finishing the tour and someone was like, "Oh, Natalie, you know the Queen, right? Does she sometimes come out wearing an orange wig?" I was like, "What?" And I was like, "Do you mean does she go incognito?" I was like, I don't think so. I mean, Diana used to, but the Queen, I don't think so. And you know, when you have a very hello, you wanna steal my thunder? You know, when you have a very what I would call a silly question, you don't want to make them feel silly, so you have to treat it as a normal question. So I was like, when you say orange, do you mean ginger or do you mean like orange, like EasyJet orange? And they were like, no, ginger. So I was like, no, I don't think she does, because then she would look like Prince Harry, and people would put two and two together. But yeah, that's the one that really made me smile a lot. On live streams, I don't even know what was the funniest one, because we've had quite a few. Yeah, there's none I can pinpoint, but we've had quite a few. Oh, I didn't see anyone behind me. Probably didn't pay attention. Yeah, exactly, Stefan. But again, most of the time they're absolutely fine. Right, let's see. Let me flip this around. Let's see what we've not covered in this one. Yeah, we've done everything from this one. Let's see the next one. Right, Linda is asking, what is one thing in my life I would change? Well, I'll have to change. I think I'll have to change my eyesight. I wish I could see. I wish I could see better. I mean, I'm wearing contact lenses, but even with my contacts, I don't actually. There's only so much we can do. I know I shouldn't complain. I mean, some people are blind, or some people are even losing their eyesight completely. A friend of mine is going through that, so I shouldn't complain. Some people are far worse off than me, but if I could change anything, yeah, I'd like to be 10 out of 10. Right, let's see the next one. Oops. If you were banned from the UK, where would you live? Have you ever had a paranormal experience? If you could speak the language of one animal, which one would it be? Right, let me remove the question because I cannot see the chat otherwise. If I was banned from the UK, I don't know where I'll go. Maybe any city that is somehow similar to London. So maybe Melbourne in Australia, maybe. I think in some aspect it can be a little bit similar to London. But hopefully I won't get banned. What was the second one? I'll have to check again. Well, let's answer the last one. I remember the last one. If I could speak any animal's dialogue or dialect, I don't know what they're called. Well, you'd have to choose carefully if you can choose only one animal, because obviously I don't want to learn how to speak to a leopard. I'd love to speak to a leopard, but I've probably seen 2 leopards in my life, so there's no point learning the language if I can't practice. So it would have to be foxes or squirrels. Maybe squirrels, because I see them every day, so at least I could speak to them every day. And the good thing is, if you speak squirrel language, then you're probably also able to speak to rats, because they're cousins, aren't they? Squirrels are like rats with a nice tail. So if I can speak to squirrels and rats, then I can probably speak to mice. And if I can speak to mice, then I can spy on people. Because you could tell the little mice, hey, go into Jerry and Kate McCain's apartment in Leicestershire. Go and listen to what they've got to say, and then you can find out the truth about Maddie McCain. So you could use them to spy. So yeah, I'd speak to all the rodents. That's a good language to learn. And if you can speak to rats, you can probably speak to capybaras, because technically it's the largest rodent species in the world, so they might speak the same language. So yes, that's a good language to learn. Right. What was the other one in the middle? Have I ever had any paranormal experiences? Yeah, maybe. Well, once when I was 11, I saw a reflection in the TV. The TV was turned off, so it was either a burglar or a ghost in my home. And I also did have one experience not that long ago, maybe a year and a half ago. Some of you might remember we had a program coming out on. Sorry, I'm just gonna go like this. Coming out on Netflix called Surviving Death, and there was one particular episode about seeing signs. You know, when someone passes away, and then you see signs of them everywhere. After watching that episode, I was like, okay. So I told a friend of mine that passed away, the same friend, okay, so if you can hear me, if you're there, give me a sign. Nothing happened for a week. And a week later, I'm in my bedroom. I've got a little ensuite, so I've got a little tap. Like I live in a former nursing home, so I've got like the elderly's ensuite. And the tap opens on its own. I wasn't even in the toilet. I was in the other part of the room. So the water tap literally opens. And I actually said out loud, I was like, Mirko, if that's you want to do better than that. If that was a sign, you want to do better than that. And 10 minutes later, I was actually thinking of a memory I had with him when we were. It was Christmas Day. We got pulled over by the police. Not in a car. I was in a shopping trolley on Wandsworth Road, and he was pushing me. So obviously the police officers thought that was a little bit dangerous. So they pulled us over and they told us off. So anyway, I was thinking of that. Then I took my bicycle to Peckham, and at some point I'm not even pedaling. And I felt like someone was pushing me for a long distance. I mean, a full street. And it couldn't be, it couldn't be because I was already riding, because I had to turn. So I would have had to brake anyway to do the turn. So I really felt like someone was pushing me. And if it was him trying to give me a better sign, that would have been spot on, because that kind of literally matched a memory I was just thinking about a few minutes earlier. So if that was a sign, again, I'm not sure it was, but if that was, it was, well, quite paranormal to me. And I've tried since. I've taken the same street. I've tried to come with a lot of speed and not pedal for the same distance. It doesn't work. It's not going down. It's not. So I still feel like I was pushed. So yes, I suppose to an extent I've had a paranormal experience. So at least I'd like to think I have. There might be some kind of an explanation, but yeah, I'd like to think I have. Cool. Let's go next. So this is that's fully done. Let's see this one. Oops, I have to move the chat again. Bear with me. So Sue is asking, where do you get your facts from? And Sue is also asking, oh yeah, with Hego, you had the tip button, obviously, on Hego. If any of you were fairly new to me, if you don't know what Hego is, it's a platformer I used to stream before YouTube. Does Buy Me a Coffee work as well? Okay, cool. Let's get rid of that. Forgot the first question now. What is it again? Well, let's answer about the tips, and then the first one is going to come back to me. The tips, so on Hego, you'd have a button, and Hego would take 40%, which is a lot. But they had a platform to run, of course, and advertising and all that. At the moment, so I've got three options for tips at the moment. I've got YouTube. YouTube takes 30%, so it's not far from Hego. Plus, on top of that, I've got to pay VAT. I don't understand why I have to pay VAT, because they consider those tips on YouTube as a sales, as like a product, which is weird. But anyway, plus of course I pay taxes in the UK, so it's whatever you give me on YouTube, I get less than half of it, really. Somehow I still think YouTube is a good option, because I think it probably boosts up the algorithms. YouTube is going to be promoting the videos that generate money. It's normal. Why wouldn't they? So I still see it as an investment. So I think I don't mind if tipping on YouTube is better for you. I really don't mind it. I think it's actually probably a good thing. Oh, thank you, Tish. And World Virtual Tours takes 50%, you see. But yeah, there's a cost to running a platform and all that. So yeah, Buy Me a Coffee. I think they take a bit less, but they've got some hidden fees as well. So yeah, Buy Me a Coffee is technically better than Hego was, yes. And I also have PayPal. PayPal also takes quite a lot out of it. Maybe not as much as YouTube, but PayPal is quite easy for me, because I've got a PayPal credit card. So I don't have to transfer it to any... Hello! I've got a doggy friend. Hello! You want to say hello? PayPal, I've got a card, so I can spend it straight away from my PayPal credit card or debit card, or whatever it is. So basically, any tip is welcome. It's slightly better than on Hego anyway, in terms of what I get. Right, and where do I get my facts from? Apologies about my nose. Everywhere, really. I would say mainly books, or sometimes documentaries, or the internet. You have to be careful with the internet because there's a lot of crap on the internet. Although sometimes there's some wrong information in books as well, you know. Yeah, it could be documentaries, it could be anything. But yeah, I rely a lot on books. Sometimes I even feel almost a bit bad for the authors because, you know, people that would have wrote a book about one particular crime, I don't know, 15 years ago. I'm thinking about, let's say, Eliza Greenwood in the Waterloo. There's one book in particular that I think about, that I've used myself when I've done a live tour about that case. You know, that author would have gone to the archive, he would have researched everything to publish a very detailed book. Now, since I've covered this case on a live like 3 years ago, there are at least 4 podcasts about that case, and most of them are based on that book. And so whoever did the research at first, you know, I'm not a researcher. I'm not someone that would go to the archive or check all the newspapers at the British Library or wherever they're kept. So I rely on although I do my homework as well, I rely on the research of people that have done their research to publish books. So, you know, they've got all my respect, and also most of the content creators like myself, we probably should give them a bit more credit sometimes, you know, especially when it comes to Hallie Rubenthal, you know, with the book The Five. Of course, I have myself done some live streams about those victims, but, you know, I tell you out loud what I remember about the book, so I'll use my own vocabulary and stuff. I have seen a lot of YouTube videos or sometimes even podcasts it's literally straight from the book. The same vocabulary, they hardly even rephrase anything. I don't know if it's because they literally just copy straight from the book, or maybe they use some AI software so they don't even realize, because AI, by definition, is not going to be respecting any copyright because they're just nicking information from anywhere. So if you use AI, you probably don't even realize that you straight copying some information from somewhere on the internet. So I never use AI, or I try not to, at least, because first, it's difficult to double check whatever they say, and they come up with a lot of rubbish, and I kind of like to know where the information comes from. Sometimes AI would tell you the website, but sometimes they don't. They come up with random stuff, and you're like, where is that coming from? So yeah, hope that answers the question. Let's see the next one. Oh, cool. Carol Sue is asking if you could live, anywhere in the world, where would that be? I don't know if it's if I could live, I'm guessing, or if I could love. Well, I think my answer would be the same anyway. If I could love, or if I could live anywhere in the world, I'd live in London. And who's my favorite author? Right, let me remove this. So yeah, if I could live anywhere in the world, you know what? I can live anywhere in the world. I choose to live in London. Well, obviously, some countries might be a bit harder for me to get a working visa, but I don't want to live anywhere else in the world. Maybe one day, but at the moment, I don't want to live anywhere else in the world. And sometimes I don't understand why people don't really choose where they live. I mean, you do choose. You always choose. You've got the choice, you know. You know, sometimes when I was a teenager, I lived on French overseas territories, you know, on islands, like New Caledonia or Guadeloupe in the Caribbean. And how many times did I hear, "Oh, you're so very lucky. You're so very lucky. I would absolutely love to live there." Well, why don't you? And some of the people saying that would have been French, so it's a French territory. So anyone can go. You don't need a visa. You can go. So then why why don't people go and live wherever they want to live? That's a big question, but I suppose there are many factors when you have a husband, kids, a property, a mortgage. I don't have any of that, so I could go and live wherever I'd want to live. Oh, interesting, Sun. What was the other? Oh, who's my favorite author? You know what? I hardly ever read any fictions. I don't read much. I'm dyslexic, so reading is not really a leisure activity for me. I read a lot for research for my tours, but really it's very tiring for me to read. So I've not read a fiction for many years. But if I had to pick one, when I was a teenager, I was quite into Mark Twain's, the Prince and the Pauper, or The Adventure of Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finns. Well, I was into the cartoon before to be into the novels, but yeah, I love a bit of Mark Twain's. Or I used to as well, because those books I have read. I might have been 15 at the time, but I've read them. Anyway, I think that was the last one. Let's see. Yes, I think we've covered all the Facebook ones. Oops. What did I do? Go away. Sorry, I've messed up something here. I don't know if it's a bug or I've messed up. Yeah, right, hold on. We've got a little bug. I'm stuck on the page with the media and I can no longer see the chat. Let's see like this. Right, I'll just try to fix it once. Hey, yes! It was just randomly stuck. It's fine now. Cool. So we've covered all the questions from Facebook. If some of you, by the way, are not on Facebook, I've got a Facebook group called Natalie My Guide. So that's where a lot of the questions were posted. If you have any more questions for me to pop down into the chat, feel free to do it now. Also, if I've missed any of your questions earlier in the chat, feel free to post them again. Or if I've missed them on Facebook as well, it could happen. I've tried to be quite rigorous, but if I've missed any, do let me know. Am I doing more London tours? Yes, of course. Well, this coming month, I'm actually away a lot, so I'm taking you to Skegness in Lincolnshire on not next Monday, but the one after. The week after that, I'm going to Bristol. The week after that, Windsor. So we actually have quite a few that are outside of London. And the week after that, I might take you to Ingoldsmells. It's very boring, but it's next to Skegness. It's very boring, but to an extent, it's so boring that it might be interesting to see. It's basically just caravan camps, caravans on the beach side. So that could be interesting. What TV programs do I enjoy? My pops, I hardly watch any TV. There are a lot of shows that I would watch on BBC iPlayer, like dramas or comedy, but in terms of programs as such, not many. Although I kind of like interviews of like social commentators and what happened. Like for example, sometimes on YouTube I watch some of the This Morning interviews. So technically it's from TV, but I actually watch it on YouTube because I just never ever watch live television. What's my favorite breakfast? Uh, I don't usually eat breakfast, but I like my porridge. If you have any porridge, I'll have some. If all the tours I've done on Hego were on YouTube, which was my favorite? Yeah, there are many that I've done on Hego that I've not redone on YouTube yet. Which is my favorite? I'll have to say Jack the Ripper, but it's, I've done it so often that I don't know if it's my favorite or if it's your favorite, because it's always great to have to have a lot of audience and to have a lot of questions. So obviously, when the tour attracts a lot of viewers, it becomes your favorite because you get a lot of interesting questions and new people and stuff like that. No, Laurie. My dad was in the overseas branch of his company. But, at the time it was quite annoying because when you are a teenager and you make new friends and you have to move again and then you have to make new friends again, it's not ideal. I mean, being a teenager is actually quite difficult anyway, so having to make new friends all the time, it's not ideal. Yeah, no, they've been taking part, those ducks. They're still here listening to what we've got to say. Blackmail. What are we talking about? What did I miss? What blackmail? Or did I say something? I forgot what I said now. I don't know why we're talking about blackmail. Anyway, let me gracefully stand up because it's getting a bit cold. So I've got to start moving my body. Is live guiding my primary source of income? Yeah, it's my only source of income. Apart from YouTube, but yeah, it's. Sometimes at this time of the year, I take some photography jobs as well. So that's what I used to do before to be a tour guide. So that's why I'm off to Skegness and Brims, next to Western Supermare. But yeah, tour guiding is my main source of income. I usually have enough work to survive in the winter, but I try to go on holidays in the winter because it's a bit harder and you get less people and it's cold and you get less work as well. So usually I work a lot in the summer to be able to take longer holidays in the winter. So when I say a lot, in the summer I literally work every day. Last summer I did 3 months without a single day off, and I'll probably be able to do the same this summer. Right, hold on, let's see. Do I do any stand-up anymore? No. I think I keep considering going back to it at some point, but I don't really have time. I spend so many hours preparing those live streams on YouTube that I don't really have time to be writing comedy at the same time as doing gigs or anything of the sort, because there's only so many hours in a day. Right, let's see what I've missed. You'll watch the replay. Cool. Who's my favorite gravestone? Well, I think it's probably one in America somewhere. There's one. It's a Monopoly board, but I've not seen it. I just know it's there in the. Can't remember which state now. You know what I think about zoos, to be honest. I did visit one in Sri Lanka, and I did do a little video in there, and I'm like, because obviously I don't really like animals in captivity, but on the other hand, they're great to be showing the kids all the different animals that do exist, because the generation growing up today, There are so many fake animals on the internet, like AI. They're like half pigeons, half teddy bear, half, like. So I think it's great to have zoos where kids can actually see the animals that do exist. It's a bit scary, AI, and what you see on the internet now, because the kids are not gonna know what's real, what's not. Hi, Shelly. Nice to have you here. So London Zoo. Do I ever do tour at Horse Guards? Yes, Sarah, I'm there every day. I was there this morning, but the Horse Guards didn't come up for the lineup because they're getting everything ready for the London Marathon. So the mall was already blocked up with marathon stuff. So the Horse Guards couldn't come up for a little lineup this morning. Well, I say every day, not every day, but I'm there at least 4 or 5 times a week. So I see those lifeguards and those Blues and Royals quite a lot. Oh yes, I remember those snowballs. Yes, idiots. Yeah. Anyway, I think I've finally caught up with all the questions. Let me flip the camera around to show you a bit of the view again as the light goes away. And let me know if you have any last coming questions in the chat. If not, we'll wrap it up for today. If you want to see a bit more of me, so Skegness is coming up. The Monday, not this Monday, but the one after. Then Bristol, that's gonna be cool. I've only been to Bristol once, so I'm really looking forward to. I'll probably be slightly less prepared than usual because I've only got a few hours there to plan the route. There's only so much you can plan ahead on Google Maps, so I'll probably we might get lost. Who knows? And the week after that, it's Windsor. I'm going there for a tour, so that's why this way I don't have to pay for the train. So then I scheduled a live right after the walking tour. And yeah, the week after that, it's not scheduled yet, but we'll probably do in Goldmells in Lincolnshire. Do I work with Sinead? No, but I know her. We often see each other at the changing of the guards. She actually, we all have a little spot, where we like to stand, and she's very often right across the street from me. And sometimes, in the summer with all those tour guides, we have to play who's talking the louder, because we have to almost compete with the sound, because we're all standing at the same spot to see the guards, really.
I don't want to be your mother, but just be careful with your equipment because people snatch phones.
Yeah, but you see, I'm live, so I would have a video of them.
Oh shit! Yeah. Okay. I don't want to be live. No, I'm just saying, be careful.
No, I know. Yeah, thank you anyway. Yeah, South Bermondsey is not the safest area, but technically they could come and snatch my phone away, but that could happen anywhere in London, really. Have I seen my fox lately? Yeah, I've seen him, but I wasn't sure it was him because he was a bit bigger than he used to be. See, in the distance you see a bit of the Shard, so that's the tall Sharpie building there. Cool. I don't see any more questions, so I'm gonna let you go. Thanks everyone for coming today. It's always a pleasure to have a little chat, and I know we often chat before the live streams usually, but it's always great to have time to have a proper chat. Have any hobbies? Yes, I like to cycle. So I whenever we have free, I like to go places I've never been. And believe it or not, you can still find that in London, or maybe not in central London, but in and around London. So whenever we have I have a couple of friends that like to do exactly the same. So whenever we have time off, we go and explore places we haven't been. Thank you, Nick. Thanks, Herbie. Thanks, Tish. Thanks, everyone, for coming today. So it's always a pleasure. If any of you had dropped me a little tip on PayPal or buy me a coffee, by the way, I don't see them live there, but it's always appreciated. So if I don't thanks you live, you very much thanks anyway. And hopefully I'll see you in Skegness. So that's in about just over a week, in about 9 days from now. Have a great evening or a great morning, whatever time it is for you, wherever you are in the world. Thank you. Bye bye.